Om Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Namo Gurubhyaha. So we were looking at this ninth Vakya in the eighth Brahmanam of the third chapter. So here the Shruti is actually presenting Brahman as Jagat Karanam Brahma or Ishvara. Already the Shruti presented Brahman by negating all that can be observed, correct? So Shruti has revealed to us Brahman through negation by negating all that can be denoted by a word, and it also negated everything that can be objectified by your mind. So by negating all these things, actually it is pointing out that it is yourself. The self alone is the negator. The negator alone can never be negated. Everything else is negated. And Brahman is of the nature of the negator itself, the very self of the negator. That's how it was revealed first. But that is not very easy to understand for most people. So again, Shruti is also trying to show that such a thing, even though we have negated everything, you cannot say that nothing like that is there. So Shruti itself is giving you some kind of a anumana, Shruti Sammata Tarka, you can say. That's what the ninth Vakya here. We already saw most of it in the Bhashya also. So anumana, like the whole niyati, basically there is an order. The whole creation is following a certain order, and this orderliness itself points out that there is a conscious being, correct? Without the intelligent conscious being present, this orderliness cannot be there, everything being in order. That is the high level argument here. And so the particular analogy which we were looking at was about the giving. So giving is praised by the Shastra, by the Shishtas also, by the elders, those who know the Shastra. But giving itself is only giving pida, or it's not something very pleasant for the giver, correct? Because you have earned something with lot of effort, and if you give it to somebody, you don't really want to give it. But if you give it, why are you giving? Mostly because there is a adrishta phala associated with the giving. And the point here is the giver, the thing which is given, those who are receiving, okay, they all come together and the giving happens, correct? And then after the giving happens, they all disperse, let us say, they all go away. So this samagama, Bhashyakara says here, the samagama, okay, and the here he says, see, ye cha dadati, ye cha pratigrinati, tesham ihaiva samagamaha vilayascha. So right here in this loka, all these things are happening. They all come together, giving happens, then they go away. Right in front of your eyes also. Anvakshaha drishyate. But the adrishta phala which is accruing to you and which you will have to enjoy is not going to happen here in this world. That is paras samagamaha. So your sambandha, okay, your connection with the result of the giving is going to happen not here in this loka, but somewhere else later on. Both in terms of space and time, it's going to be somewhere else. But still, tathapi manushyaha dadatam dana phalena sanyogam pashyantaha. So those who see the result of giving, okay, with the connection between the result of giving and the giver, that sanyoga is seen by certain people, the rishis, we have to say, manushyaha. And who are they? They are seeing, that means what? They are pramanagnataya. So they are seeing it as a valid knowledge. Okay, they are seeing it as a pramanagnya. It is something born out of valid means of knowledge. They are seeing it in that form, in that manner. So seeing like that, they praise giving, prashansanti. So those who see the relationship between the result of giving and the giver through pramana, they praise that. Okay, that means that you will get the result later on. But how will you get it later on? You have done something now. The action itself is over right now. Now you are going to get the result sometime later, means where is the result till that time? Okay. So that is what now we have to fill it. That's what Bhashyakara is doing here. Tacha karma phalena sanyojayitari kartuhu. Karma phala vibhagagne prashasatari asati nasya. So this karma phala, which you will get later on, we are saying, correct? Such a thing is possible, okay, only if there is somebody who connects you with your karma phala later on, correct? So karma phalena sanyojayitari kartuhu. So there has to be a karta who will connect you with your karma phala later on. And that person also should know whose karma phala he has to connect with whom and all that, correct? Karma phala vibhagagne prashastari asati nasyat. If a ruler, Ishvara, who is not aware of all the karma phala vibhaga, means what? The differences between the karma and the karma phala, and whose karma phala belongs to whom, correct? Which karma phala belongs to whom? All that has to be known. The vibhaga, the division between karma and karma phala and karta and their connection, all these things should be known by somebody. Only such a person can connect you with your karma phala later on. And if this is not there, if such a person is not there, this itself is not possible. You cannot have this karma phala, you cannot enjoy the karma phala of giving later on. It's impossible, and people will not praise that. That is the idea. Therefore, what? In fact, it is not possible. Why? Because dana kriyayaha pratyaksha vinashitva. The dana kriya itself is done. It is over, correct? In front of your eyes only, the giver came, the receiver came, whatever is to be given also is there, it is given, the receiver takes it and goes away, giver also has gone away. So the dana kriya ends right there, but the phala is supposed to come later on. Okay. So if the kriya itself immediately gives the phala, then there is no question of all this there being a prashasta who will later on give you and all that. But the dana kriya itself only gives you pida. The drishta phala is pida, whether we gave it to the right person or not. There may be some, even though people give with shraddha, shraddhaya deyam, like that Upanishad is there. The Taittiriya Upanishad says shraddhaya deyam, ashraddhaya deyam, ashraddhaya adeyam, actually. So don't give without shraddha. If you don't have shraddha, don't give. If you have shraddha, you give. But even with shraddha, if you give also, there may be still some doubt may be there, correct? Whether all these things will work or not. So there is drishta phala is okay. It is so. But adrishta phalam is there for the giving. And it is possible only The Adrishta Phala getting connected with you later on is possible only if Ishvara is there. Ishvara who is the Karma Phala Data and who has the knowledge of all the Karma Phala and to whom each Karma Phala belongs, etc. also he should know. Then only he can connect you with your Karma Phala properly. So that has to be there. Without that, it is not possible because the Kriya itself ends right there. Therefore, what? Tasmad asti dana kartrinam phalena sanyojayita. So therefore, somebody has to be there who connects with the dana kartri. Okay, who connects the result with the dana kartri. The result of giving with the giver has to be connected by somebody. That sanyojayita, the connector, has to be there. Now, the Purva Mimamsakas, some Purva Mimamsakas are there. They do not accept Ishvara. Understand that they are very Vaidika people, but they say Devatas are there, but they do not accept Ishvara. The Purva Mimamsakas propose a new entity called Apurva. Connect you with your Karma Phala later on. Okay. So he says Apurva Miti Chet. Nah, Bhashyakara does not accept any Apurva. Understand that. Why he says Tat Sadbhave Pramana Anupapatte. He says there is no Pramana. You say Apurva is there and Apurva is created whenever a karma is done. And this created Apurva later on will connect you with your Karma Phala. What is the Pramana for that? I don't have any see any Pramana for that. There is no valid means of knowledge which reveals an Apurva. Now the Purva Mimamsaka comes back. He says the offense is the best defense. He says, Prashastuhu api iti chet. So you are saying there is no pramana for Apurva. I am saying even for the Prashasta also there is no pramana. Ishvara also there is no pramana. Means no. He says, Bhashyakara says no. Agama tatparyasya siddhatvat. He says, Agama, Veda itself reveals Ishvara as the Jagat Karanam. In fact, even right now this Upanishad also is revealing that. So Ishvara is established by the Agama itself. Agamas, in fact, the Agamas Tatparya means what? It's Tatparata. It is committed only to reveal this Brahman, correct? That is the main thing for the Veda itself. So that is the Tatparya of the Agama, and Ishvara is Siddha from that. Now here again Bhashyakara expects an argument which in fact he dealt with in the beginning itself, in the introduction to the Upanishad. Okay, there is a what we call Sambandha Bhashya. So in the Sambandha Bhashya itself, he deals with these Purva Mimamsakas who claim that the Veda only reveals Kriya. Okay, it has to always only reveal some action. It cannot reveal any fact, Siddha Vastu and all it cannot reveal. Now Ishvara as an entity is there that the Veda cannot reveal according to the Purva Mimamsaka. But Bhashyakara actually argued with them and showed that even their Kriya etc. will be meaningful only if already certain facts are established. Like Swarga is there. Swarga you cannot know by any other means, correct? Veda only has to reveal that there is Swarga. Then Veda only has to reveal that you will survive this death of this physical body. So they have Vyatirikta Atma also, Veda only has to reveal. It is a fact. And not only that, Dehantara Sambandhi Atma, he says. Also the self which will get connected to another body in the Swarga Loka and enjoy, etc. All these things, also the connection with another body also, Dehantara Sambandhi Atma also has to be revealed only by the Veda. So unless all these facts are revealed first, your karma doing your karma, the Vedic karma and going to heaven will make no sense, correct? So Bhashyakara argued already all that, and he established that Veda can reveal Siddha Vastu also. It need not only reveal some Kriya. Because they have a saying, okay, that amnayasya kriyarthatva anarthakyam atadarthanam, like that. So amnayasya kriyarthatvat they say. Amnaya means here amnaya is Veda only. Veda is for revealing kriya. Anything else it reveals is all only anartha, means what? It has to be taken as some arthavada, some praise or some story and connected with some kriya. That is their way of interpreting the Veda. So if you say that Ishvara is revealed by the Veda, he will come back and say amna yasya kriyartatva. Then Bhashyakara says avocamahi agamasya vastu paratvam. I have already told you that agama, the Veda, in fact, it is only revealing the Vastu, the Siddha Vastu, which is Brahman. That is the main thing for the Veda, and it can very well reveal Siddha Vastu. And revealing the Siddha, without revealing Siddha Vastu, as I told you, even your Kriya will become meaningless. So don't come and tell me that it cannot reveal Ishvara. Okay. Then one more thing also Bhashyakara wants to point out. What is that? Because they are actually claiming this Apurva is there using a pramana called Arthapatti. Arthapatti means Anyata Anubhapattihi iti Arthapatti. Means otherwise it is not possible. That is the kind of argument. So typically the example given for Arthapatti is what? Pino Devadattaha Dinena Bhunkte. The fact Devadatta does not eat during the day. Okay, so you see Devadatta for 2-3 days. Okay, Devadatta is not eating anything during the day, but he is not losing any weight also. He is the same fat Devadatta. Then what will you say? You have to say Ratrau Bhunte. Devadatta is eating at night. Okay. That's how he is maintaining the weight and all that, you can say. That is called Arthapati. Otherwise, it is not possible. Correct? You have two cognitions which seemingly contradict each other. Now, to resolve that contradiction, you have to say, otherwise, it is not possible. Like that, you arrive at something, means that is Arthapati. It can be taken as a two-step inference also. Many people include it into Anumana only. But classical Anumana is slightly different. It is based on invariable concomitance. This kind of an inference is slightly different. Okay. So that's why it is counted as a different pramana itself. So the Purva Mimamsakas argue that Apurva is established through Arthapatti, but that also Bhashyakara doesn't accept. So he says Apurva Kalpanayam cha Arthapattehe Kshayaha. So further, what he says, Kincha Anyat, further what you have imagined an Apurva, correct? And if I ask you, how did you come about this Apurva, means you will say otherwise it is possible, because there has to be something which is having the power to give you the phala, karma phala later on, correct? Because the karma itself ends now, but karma has to produce something now which will later on give you your phala. That thing is the Apurva, because otherwise if Apurva is not there, you cannot get this karma phala later on. Otherwise it is not possible, kind of a logic only they are giving. But even that Apurva Kalpana, for which you are saying Arthapatti is the pramana, that also is Shayaha, means what? It is not, it is destroyed. Okay. This Arthapatti pramana you are talking about is not holding on. That also has to be given up. Why? Because it is Anyatha eva upapatte, because it is possible even otherwise. Even without Apurva, I can show you how it is possible that the karma phala will be later on, it will accrue to the whoever has done the karma now. Okay. So Anyatha, if it is possible otherwise, then that alone we have to take, correct? Your Arthapatti will not work. So Anyatha eva, Anyatha Anupapatti, if it is there, only Arthapatti can come into the picture. But here Anyatha Upapatti is there. So he says Anyatha eva Upapatte, because Anyatha Upapatti is there. Otherwise also it is possible. How? So he is saying Seva Phalasya Sevyat Prapti Darshana. See, you do some service. In fact, You go to office every day, and most of us don't get any salary immediately, correct? For every day's work, we don't get any salary. There are some people who are daily wage earners also, but even they get the salary only at the end of the day, or many times they get it on Saturdays and all that, correct? Weekly, people distribute the salary, or most office goers and all, we get monthly salaries. Like this, whenever you do some service, to whom you have done the service, that person will give you your phala, even though it is later on, correct? The person to whom you have done the service, the sevya. Seva means service. Sevya means the one who is served. Okay, the one who is served by you, that person only is going to give you your seva phala. So sevyat prapti darshanat seva phalasya. The result of your seva is seen to be given by the one who is served. Okay. Therefore, what sevyascha kriyatvat, sevayascha kriyatvat, tat samanyacha yagadana homadinam sevyat ishwaradehe palapraptihi upapadyate. So Bhashyakara straight away says seva is kriya. Similarly, what yagadana homadinam sevyat ishwaradehe palaprapti upapadyate, he says. So yaga, dana, homa, etc., which are said in the Veda, the Vedic karma, also are kriya. And all these yaga, dana, homa and all is done for whom? Some devata, correct? Or Ishvara in general we can take. So for whenever you are doing yaga, dana, homa, the karma, assuming who is served by that, means Ishvara only. Ishvara Adehe is there here. Adi Padat, Indradi Devatas also we have to take. Okay. So whoever is the Devata whom you are serving, that Devata only will give you the phala. Like even you go to office every day, your employer gives you salary at the end of the month, correct? Even though immediately you may not get, you will get it. To whom you have done the service, that person will give. Similarly, here also, that Devata will give you the phala praptihi, you will get from them only. So phala praptihi ishwaradehe upapadyate. So it is possible from Ishvara and other Devatas only. Why should we propose a totally new apurva? There is no need. Okay. So your arthapati is not proper because the anyata upapati is there. Okay. Then further what? Drishta kriya dharma samarthyam aparityajya eva palaprapti kalpanopapattau drishta kriya dharma samarthya parityagaha na nyayaha. See, when you propose something like apurva, basically what you are proposing is the karma itself cannot give you the phala. It only creates something called apurva, and the apurva has to later on give you the karma phala. Means whatever karma which is done, which we are able to see, drishta kriya, that itself is not able to give the phala. Okay, that is what you are proposing. Okay, now that proposal itself is not proper. That hypothesis is wrong. Okay, that drishta kriya has to give up its ability to give the phala. Okay, it's samarthya. It has a capability. Every karma has a capability to give its phala, correct? So that you are taking away from the karma itself and now assigning it to another entity called apurva. So for getting the phala, you are imagining a new entity. But if it is possible to give out a hypothesis where I say that all this new entity itself is not required, whatever karma you have done, the phala is only for that, correct? And from that only you get the phala. Whether you get it immediately or later, somebody has to keep account of that. That's all, correct? Karma only is giving you the phala, whether you get it immediately or later on. If I can have an hypothesis like that, that is the better one, correct? That is Nyayaha, means that is more logical. That is the logical alternative, not whatever you are proposing, your hypothesis is wrong. It is not Nyayaha, it is not logical. In fact, Bhashyakara also says one more interesting thing. Kalpana Adhikyacha. Kalpana Adhikya means this is what in modern days we call it as Occam's razor. Okay? There is something called Occam's razor, means what? See, if you can give many different explanations for explaining something, some phenomena, which alternative one has to consider? Means whichever is the simplest explanation, you have to consider that as the proper one. Okay, an explanation which is again proposing too many entities, too many things, etc., complicated explanation has to be given up. The simpler explanation, whichever explanation is only proposing few entities and simpler explanation it is giving, that alone has to be considered. That is called Occam's razor. I think I'm giving it, paraphrasing it correctly, but you can go and see about Occam's razor. Same thing, this Kalpana Adhikya is what he says. Either we have to say Ishvara gives the phala or Apurva is giving. Correct? So Bhashyakara says Ishvaraha Kalpyaha Apurvam va. So either Apurva you have to imagine or Ishvara is there. Like that you have to propose. Okay, then what? Tatra Kriyayascha Swabhavaha Sevyat Phala Praptihi Drishta. Now here the Kriya's nature of the Kriya is what? Whenever you do an action, and if that action is done for satisfying somebody, correct, for the purpose of someone, then that someone only will give you the phala. This is the nature of any activity. The one who is served by that activity will give you the result. This is well known in the world. So that explanation alone explains in this case also correctly. And why should we then require any Apurva? So Natu Apurva. So in the Apurva, you have to imagine too many things. In our case, we have to only say Ishvara is there. And Ishvara being the one who is served by Homa, Yaga, Dana, etc., Ishvara will give you the phala like any other phala which is also happening in this world. Okay, the Kriya and phala, how it is accrued, we see that. So this Apurva means what? With Apurva, so many problems are there. He is listing out. He says, Nacha Apurvam Drishtam. Apurva itself is not seen by anybody. Okay, you are only proposing it. And further, what? Tatra Apurvam Adrishtam Kalpayitavyam. Therefore, whatever is not seen, whatever is not actually revealed by any pramana directly, you have to imagine that first. Tasyacha Paladatritve Samarthyam. Not only that, you have to also imagine this Apurvam has the capability to give you the karma phala. Okay. And further what? Even if it has the capability, why should it give you? So even if it has the capability, Samarthya Sati Danam, it has to actually give you, correct, later on. That also we have to assume. So we have to assume three things: that there is an Apurva. This Apurva has the capability to give the results. And even if when it has the capability to give, it has to actually give also later on. So these are all too many assumptions. So like these three assumptions we have to make. Abhyadikam, he says, it is too much. It is. In fact, in the case of Ishvara, we have only one thing. Ishvara alone we have to propose. So that also he gives here. Ihatu Ishvarasya Sevyasya Sadbhava Matram Kalpyam. So you have to propose that Ishvara is there. And Ishvara is being served by this Kriya. And the Kriya's nature is that whoever is served by that Kriya will give you the phala. That's all. So therefore, we don't have to imagine too many things. So whatever the explanation we are giving is the simpler one and the correct one also. In fact, Ishvara is there, for that Veda Pramana is there. That itself is good enough for us. Even assuming that Veda is not revealing, proposing Ishvara as the Karma Phala Data is the better explanation. That's what Bhashyakara is trying to argue here. So therefore what? Natu paladhana samarthyam datritam cha sevyat palaprapti darshana. So we don't have to imagine the samarthya and the datritva etc. of Ishvara, because normally the one who is served by the karma or kriya, that person gives the kriya phalam also. That is already seen in the world, that is well known. So therefore, whatever we are saying is the right thing. So further what Bhashyakara says, anyway, Shruti itself has revealed Ishvara, correct? Anumanam cha darshitam. The Anumana, the inference for Ishvara being there was just shown by the Shruti, correct? Dyava prithivya vidrite tishtataha ityadi. So that's how this whole thing started here, correct? Surya chandramasau vidrutau, etc. Dyava prithivya vidrite tishtataha. So all these things was said by Shruti itself. So Ishvara has been established by the Shruti by giving all this Anumana. Therefore, your Apurva is not correct. In fact, there is nothing called Apurva. It is your Kapola Kalpita. It is imagined by your skull. That's all. So Bhashyakara dismisses the Purva Mimamsaka's theory of Apurva. Okay. Further, what? Tatacha Yajamanam Devaha Ishvaraha Santaha Jivanarthaha Anugataha Charu Purodashadi Upajivana Prayojanena. See, further what? So here, now he has gone to this. Yajamanam Devaha. Okay. This he is commenting now. Yajamanam Devaha. So this Devaha, Yajamanam Devaha Tachacha. Further, the Yajamana is there and the Devas come to the Yajamana. For what? Jivanarthe Anugataha. So even though the Devas are Ishvaraha, means here they are very powerful. They have Aishwaryam. Okay. They are more powerful than human beings. So Ishvaraha Santaha, even though they are Ishvaraha, they have more Aishwaryam than the human beings. Even though they are like that, Jivanarthe, for their very livelihood, they come, Anugataha, they come after all these human beings who are offering them what? Charu Purodashadi Upajivana Prayojanena. So for their very living, they have to come and consume all this Charu and Purodasha. Charu is some kind of a porridge. Purodasha is a rice cake. Okay. These are all offered in the Homa, correct? So they are given all these different havis and Charu, Purodasha, the Adi Padat, you can assume other thing. Even Somapana is given, correct? In Somayaga, Soma is offered, ghee is offered, so many things are offered. So they come and take all these things, partake it from you, and that is how they live. So their very livelihood depends on this. In fact, the same thing is said by Bhagavan, correct? In Gita also, Sahayajna Praja Srishtva Purovacha Prajapatihi Anena Prasavishyadvam Yeshavostvishta Kamaduke Devan Bhavayatanena Te Deva Bhavayantu Vaha Parasparam Bhavayantaha. Like this. These verses are all there in the Gita also. So the Prajapati created all the beings along with Yajna. Why? Because you have to do the Yajna and do Seva to the Devas. In fact, Devas depend on your Yajna. And in turn, Devas will also bless you. So you mutually, we are all dependent. We are dependent on the blessings of the Devas. Devas are dependent upon whatever offerings we give in the Agni through Yajna. And in fact, the one who consumes without offering to the Devas, what does Bhagavan say? He says, Stena. He says, Stena eva saha. He's like a thief. So the definition of thief is different in the Gita. If you don't, because whatever wealth, etc. you have, some of it you have to actually give it to the Devas, because you have a Deva Rina. We say that there is a Pitra Rina, Deva Rina, Rishi Rina and all that, correct? Different kinds of debt are there. As soon as you are born in debt and you have to repay that. And they have a claim as debtors on whatever you have. So if you don't give them and still consume it, you are like a thief. So now why does the Deva depend on the puny human being? Even though they are more powerful, means that is Ishvara Niyati. That is also pointing out to Ishvara. Correct? That's what Bhashya will say here. Anyathapi Jivitum Utsahantaha Kripanam Deenam Vrittim Ashritya Sthitaha. So these Devas, even otherwise they can live. Okay. In fact, they would like to live without depending on these human beings. But still they have to depend. Kripanam Deenam Vrittim means what? This weak life. A life of weakness. So why are they living such a life? Why are they resorting to such a life, such a sthiti, such a state means what? Why are they in such a state? But Kripana also means a miser normally. But Kripana here means even though they can live in some other manner, they don't do like that. They are not. So normally a miser is whom? One who has money but does not use it, correct? So if you have something and if you do not use it, you are a Kripana. Similarly, the Devas can live even without depending on the human beings, but they still depend on the human beings only. So that is a life of Karpanya for them. Okay. So such a life, why they are living means Tacha Prashastuhu Prashasana Syat. That is only because it is Ishvara Niyati. This also is pointing out to Ishvara being there. So the Prashasta is there, the ruler of all these Devatas is the Ishvara. And Ishvara's rule, under Ishvara's rule only, because of his niyati, because of Ishvara's law alone, Devatas also depend on human being. Similarly, what? Tata Pitaraha api tadartham. The Pitras also depend on you. Okay. Darvi homam anvayatta anugataha ityarthaha. So the Pitras also come during this Darvi homam. There is a homa called Darvi homa. Then they partake whatever you offer there. So like this, ityarthaha samanam sarvam anyati. So everything else is similar to whatever was said in the context of Yajamana and Deva. Again, the why do the Pitras have to depend on our offerings means that's how it is. That is because of Ishvara's niyati. So that also points out to Ishvara. So in this manner, this Prashasta is there, and this Prashasta is none other than Brahman alone. Okay. The Saguna Brahma alone is the Prashasta. Now continuing what? Yova etad aksharam gargi aviditva asmin loke juhoti yajate tapastapyate bahuni varsha sahasrani antavadeva asya tadbhavati yaha va etad aksharam gargi aviditva asmal lokat praiti sakripanaha अथ ये एतद् अक्षरं गार्गी विदित्वा अस्मान् लोकात् प्रैति सब्राह्मणः. Wonderful. So this is actually highly quoted verse again, very popular. Yova etad aksharam gargi aviditva asmaन् lokaत् praiti sakripanaha. This particular Vakya is quoted by Bhashyakara. In fact, the same thing comes in Gita. Arjuna says that Karpanya doshopahata swabhavaha prichhami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha. Like that. In the second chapter, Arjuna says this Karpanya dosha I will get. So you only have to Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapanna Manali, he says. I am your Shishya, so you teach me. So that I won't have this Karpanya dosha. So he refers to this Arjuna in the Gita also, the Kripana, the word Karpanya comes there, Karpanya dosha. So what Yajnavalkya says here is, this Akshara has to be there. Understand that. Why? Because one more reason is given here. Because there has to be a Vastu knowing which you will be freed from this samsara. Correct? Otherwise, what? If that Vastu is not there, you cannot have any freedom from this samsara. Means the limitless has to be there. That is the point, correct? If the limitless is not there, then limitation alone is your very nature, means you can never get away from that. So that way also this Aksharam, Brahma, which is Ananta, has to be there. So Bhashyakara also in fact introduces it like that. He says, Itascha asti tad aksharam yasmat tad ajnane niyata samsara upapattihi. So he gives it the other way around. He says, therefore this akshara is there. Why? Because if you do not know this akshara, then you have this samsara. Samsara upapatti is there. Samsara is there only if you do not know this akshara. For that purpose itself, akshara is there. Because you are all in samsara. In fact, the other way around, if we put it, we have to say that if you have to get freed from the samsara, then you have to know this akshara. Therefore, this akshara is there. Correct? That way also we can say. In fact, he also says that. He says, Bhavitamyam tu tena yad vijnana tad vichhedaha. So, also, this akshara has to be there. Why? Because by knowing that, only the samsara vichheda, the destruction of samsara, can happen. Therefore, like that, there is a nyaya upapatte. There is a nyaya is there like this. We can also have a logic like this. So that's what here it is said. In fact, what Yajnavalkya says is, even if you do karma, okay, for thousands of years, he says. So juhoti, yajate, tapas tapyate. So you do all this yajna, tapa, dana, whatever. Bahuni, varsha sahasrani, he says. Not just thousands of years, many thousands of years, even if you do all this karma. Antavadeva asya tadbhavati asya phala. The phala of this, all this kriya will come to an end. Even if you do it for thousands of years, you gain a lot of karma phala, but this karma phala will come to an end. There is only anta. Again you have to go through them. Again you have to be born. Again you do karma. Again you get karma phala. Again you enjoy that. But that is a cycle. Keeps on going. It's a vicious cycle. And while being a karmatha, okay, while being a karta bhokta, if you do not know your true nature as akarta bhokta, without knowing your true nature as aksharam, if you die, how many ever times you are born and you die also, if you don't know this aksharam, you will keep on going in this vicious cycle only, correct? And such a person is a kripana. Why? Because even though you got a birth, like this human birth, where there is a possibility for you to know this truth, correct? You still did not know. So whatever is there with you, in fact, this Atma never leaves you. All you have to do is know the truth about this Atma. Even though this Atma is always with you, you are not getting the phala of Atma Jnanam and you are suffering. That is Kripana, miserable life. Miserly life or miserable life also you can say. So, such a person is a miserable person, is the miser, because he does not use whatever he has. The one who knows this aksharam is called Brahmanaha. He is Brahmavit, correct? Brahmanaha, Saha Brahmanaha. So like this, Yajnavalkya differentiates between the knower of aksharam and the one who does not know this aksharam, and therefore akshara has to be there. Okay. So that's what here. Let us see the Bhashya quickly. Nanu kriyataha eva tad vichittihi syat iti chet. So now the Purvapakshi says, from kriya only the samsara destruction can happen. Destruction of samsara can happen. If I say means no, that's how the connection Bhashyakara gives beautifully. Why? Because yo va etad aksharam he gargi aviditva vijnaya asmin loke juhoti yajate tapastapyate yadyapi bahuni varsha sahasrani. So even though somebody does all this yajna, homa and tapas for thousands, many thousands of years, okay, even though they do that, what happens? Antavadeva asya tat phalam bhavati. The phala of that, all that kriya will come to an end. It's all antavat. It is all finite only. Karma itself is finite. Karma phala also is finite. You can be doing it for a long time and all that, but how much ever you add finite things, it still is finite only. It will come to an end. So tat phala bhoga ante tat phala upabhogante kshiyante eva asya karmani. Okay, so this karma will come to an end once you have enjoyed the results of the karma. It will come to an end, and then you have to come back only. Okay, you cannot escape. Punaravartinaha, like that Bhagavan also says, Brahma Bhuvanal Lokat Punaravartino Arjuna. Anyway, so you have to come back, because once the karma phala is over, you will vanish from wherever you are in Swarga Loka, and you have to come back to this Bhuloka or some other Loka, depending on whatever is your prarabdha. Okay, so this is all finite. Further what? Apicha yad vijnanat karpanyatyayaha samsara vichedaha yad vijnana abhavacha karma kripanaha kritapalasya eva upabhokta janana marana prabandharudaha samsarati tad asti aksharam prashasitri. So therefore what? Also what? The knowledge of which aksharam will free you and destroy this samsara, correct? And come to this karpanya also will come to an end. This miserable life, miserly life will come to an end by knowing which. And if you do not know that, yad avijnanat, yad vijnana abhavat, you will, if you do not know that, you are still a karma krit only, you are a karta bhukta, and you will still have a miserable life. You are a kripanaha, you are a miser. And krita palasya eva upabhokta, you will only be the enjoyer of the results of whatever action you have done. And also janana marana prabandharudaha. So you will be going round and round, okay, life and death in that vicious cycle. So you are samsarati, samyak sarati. So you will be a samsari like that. Therefore what? Knowing that aksharam, samsara vichiti. Not knowing that aksharam means samsara is there. Therefore what? Tad asti aksharam prashasitre. Therefore this akshara is there. The prashasitre, the Ishvara, karma phala data, akshara is there. Tad etad uchyate. Therefore it is said. What is said? Yova etad aksharam gargi aviditva asmal lokat praiti sak kripanaha. So the one who leaves this world not having known this akshara, gargi, that person is a kripana, he is a miser. But Bhashyakara says, panakritaha iva dasadihi. He is like a slave, in fact, who is sold for money in the markets, etc. He is like only a slave. And what about the person who knows? Atha ya etad aksharam gargi. Further, the one who knows this aksharam. Okay, viditva asmal lokat preiti sab brahmanaha. Such a person is a brahmana. So like this differentiation is done between the knower of aksharam, the jnani, and the ajnani here very clearly. And what is the jnana dasha, what is the ajnana dasha? All that also is very clearly said here. Now, further, still one doubt may be there. So that's how Bhashyakara is introducing the next vakya here. Agnehe dahana prakashakatvavat swabhavikam asya prashastritvam achetanasya eva ityataha aha. Because the Sankhyas, they propose something called pradhana, and pradhana is achetana, and it is the prashastra also, according to them. It is the creator. The pradhana only creates everything. In the purusha, who is separate, whose asanga does not do anything. Okay, so this prashastritvam can be the nature of the achetana pradhana. We can say that, correct? The Sankyas are already saying that. Like even the Agni, which has the capability to burn something, correct? Agnehe dahana prakashakatva, or Agni gives you light also. So it can burn, it can light something. Similarly, so Agni has this nature. Similarly, the pradhana, for pradhana, it's very nature to be this prashastra. The ruler, Pradhana is the ruler. The rulership is there in the Pradhana, even though it is Achetana. Like that, there can be a Shanka. For that, what this is said here. Tadva etad aksharam gargi adrishtam drashtre ashrutam shrotre ammatam mantre avijñatam vijñatre na anyadataha asti drashtre na anyadataha asti shrotre na anyadataha asti mantre na anyadataha asti vijñatre etasminnu khalu akshare gargi akashaha otascha protascha. So finally it is said that Pradhana and all cannot be there. Only the Chetana Vastu alone is the one. It is the one. In fact, it cannot be seen, but it is the seer in every being. Correct? Adrishtam drashtre. This Akshara alone is the seer in every being. But it itself cannot be seen because it is not an object of sight. Similarly, it is the hearer, but it cannot be heard. It is the thinker, but it cannot be thought of. It is the cognizer, but it cannot be an object of cognition. Correct? It cannot be cognized. In fact, there is nothing other than this. It is the seer everywhere. Na anyad ataha asti drashta. So other than this akshara, there is no seer. Other than this akshara, there is no hearer. Other than this akshara, there is no thinker. Other than this akshara, there is no cognizer. And in fact, in this aksharam only the akasha which she asked about, correct? The question she originally asked about, for that he gave the answer as akasha. And this akasha itself is there, has for its basis, okay, this aksharam brahma alone is the basis for the akasha also. So akashaha otascha protascha akshare iti. So this is the this way, this particular doubt about whether pradhana can be the prashasta also is answered here. It cannot be. Only the Chetana Vastu has to be there. That is said by the Shruti here. We will see the Bhashya in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
धन्यवाद गुरुजी.
Okay.